Thank you very much for joining us on the weekend edition of TM. I am Dakbo Arua Joy. And eventually, the former governor of Rivers State, talking of Rotimi Amechi, was eventually screened at the Senate yesterday. He's one of the ministerial nominees. As at now, we have 25 nominees finally screened, and we have 11. He was screened alongside 4 others yesterday. So we'll try and talk about what transpired yesterday and what has been happening so far, talking about the screening of these ministerial nominees. And afterwards, we will try and, because we've been trying to set agenda for these ministers from Monday this week. So we'll try in as much as possible to touch the remaining sectors we have not delved into. So that's our package for today. And to help us do this discussion, I have Adeboye Kalejaye. He's a public affairs analyst. Thank you very much for being here.
Good morning, viewers.
And it's been a while.
It's good to go on break.
It's been a while, okay. And I have also Ogbeni Larry Banjo. He's a 3-time governorship candidate to Ogun State. Thank you very much for
I'm glad to be here.
Yes, thank you very much. And what party are you from, sir?
National Conscious Party.
Okay, wonderful.
I contested 3 times on the platform of National Conscious Party.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you must be under the tutelage of the SAN.
Chief Gani Fawehinmi,
Yes.
yes.
All right, then. Thank you very much. And let me start with you. What's your own observation of the screening yesterday? What transpired at the Red Chamber yesterday? Amechi was eventually screened. Did you get anything at that screening yesterday?
Well, I will talk about the entire screening, not confining to Amechi alone. First of all, I congratulate Amechi for being appointed and then for being successfully cleared or confirmed. But I think the whole screening exercise, I see a lot of charade in it. When you ask a nominee questions and nominees respond, for goodness sake, there must be a time that the senators themselves will debate their questions to determine whether they pass or fail. That is one thing that I see that is so wrong. And I think the Senate should do what I would call lesson learned. Number 2, the idea of somebody, I don't care how highly placed, coming in and you say, this is my wife, take a bow and go. Or this man has been one of us before, and he should take a bow and go, should be scrapped. Let's take a senator, for example. A senator has a constituency that is less than a governor. Okay, you can't expect a governor to come, you drill and grill such a governor. And then you say, this is one of us, regardless of his record in the Senate. Because I know some of them over there who have never said a word since this thing has started. Will those kind of senators be appointed tomorrow and you will say, just take a bow and go, when it will be handling our affairs at a ministerial level? I think they need to reconsider that. I must also add, Senator John Kerry, who is now the current U.S. Secretary of State, was the chairman of Foreign Relations Committee when he was appointed by Obama to be the next Secretary of State. He was asked to step down, despite the fact that he had an impeccable record in the Senate. He chaired that committee for 4 years. Somebody else presided over that hearing, and he was grilled for 2 days before they finally voted 94-3 at the plenary. So to say yay, nay, nay in my country, I think that's also need to be scrapped.
So you think so far it's not been rigorous, okay, not been thorough, no, as they said it was going to be?
When you and I go to school, I don't want to quote fella now, when lecturers give you exam, they tell you whether you pass or fail. Do we know, let's take my colleague from Ogun State, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun. Yeah, you ask her good questions, and Mrs. Adeosun answered, let me say, thoroughly, satisfactorily. However, there was no time for a follow-up question, okay, on all of them. Okay, there must be follow-up questions, and they must go back and say, well, this is what nominee A said, and we are satisfied with it, and now let's confirm him. And there must be a roll call vote, not yay, nay, and then you see the Senate Secretary I'm a Senate president. Quickly put
the gavel down.
If the name wanted to overthrow the...
Wow. Okay, holistically, let's talk about the old screening now before we go straight to what transpired yesterday. What is your own take about the old screening? The way you said it now, some of the nominees were grilled well, but drilled well, and some were not. Like this take a bow and go is not supporting that.
Well, my earlier observation, probably last week when I, spoke on TVC News, was to give the screening some kind of, pass mark and some level of credibility. But I must say that watching subsequently, I began to be a bit afraid. I began to be a bit worried. I began to see the stature, the configuration, the personality of the president in the entire screening process. And what do I mean? It appears that everybody wants to do the bidding of Mr. President, except from those that are withdrawn, whose names were submitted and withdrawn by the president himself. We have not seen anybody who has been so denied of that, opportunity. It goes on to say that the senators are also watching the mood of the nation. When you have a president that has some general acceptability by the people, probably a president who has demonstrated within his takeoff period to show that I'm ready to serve Nigerians. And everybody now feel that if this man is ready to serve Nigerians, and we have seen some steps being taken by him, let's give him a chance. So the senators also are also watching the mood of Nigerians to say, look, for instance, let's take Amici, hypothetically, and to say that in spite of all the hula baloos, in spite of all the noise about whether Amici will be cleared or not, look at the position of the PDP senators. They just decided that they were not going to make comments.
So why did you?
They just decided, because they also saw that, look, any attempt, for instance, when Amici was being screened, it was like the entire nation watching a national football match.
Or a broadcast.
A broadcast. Everybody were running to say, they want to screen Amici, they want to screen Amici. I was sitting down with some friends, and then all of them just ran and said, what's going to say? They are screening Amici. And I told them, okay, don't worry, you are Jeremy people, we'll give you Amici for your benefits in the political scenario. Okay, you are running. And I just, cracked that joke. And everybody went, and I also took a part to see. So, if Nigerians are so curious about any attempt to stop Amici, then who are the senators to say, we will want to stop you? So obviously, I'm beginning to see that what has come to play majorly, apart from the credibility of the various nominees, which I will also adjudge to be fairly, to be good enough to serve us as ministers. I've seen people, who would definitely take this nation to the next level.
Okay.
I've seen people whose commitments, whose pedigree, whose integrity, whose honor, whose performance in the previous, activities are enough to say we will have them to take us on.
Okay. What transpired yesterday again? Let's quickly talk about that before we start setting agenda for these gentlemen and women. Senator George Sekibo said, okay, Amici scaled through. It was craned, but that doesn't mean it might. That doesn't mean it will be confirmed. What does that indicate? Because they have to vote eventually to confirm Amici as the minister of the Federation.
Well, my brother, first of all, when you have an assembly where certain, let me say, great percentage of those people are having some answers to give EFCC, they will have no choice but to confirm. You can see how the whole thing played. Let's start from the Court of Appeal, which did not sit, to CCT, which says, well, legally they are right, to tell Saraki, you're still not off the hook. Then a little bit shaking of the Senate majority, my brother, Akpabio.
Yeah, Akpabio.
I mean, there's a lot of political undertone.
So you think this is a game of chess?
Oh, man, this is Nigeria. And they do it everywhere. However, let me quickly say something to respond to what my brother here said. I must commend many of these nominees. I don't think they are playing into the gathering. And I don't think they really want to please the president. Governor Fashola, for example, spoke about state police. Whether the president believes in it or not, he said, this is what I stand for. My brother, Fayemi, also spoke highly about what he believes in, regardless of what the president believes in. Then go to the north. My brother from those young folks from the north, I am extremely impressed. They spoke the mind of Nigerians. So to come back to your question, I believe Amaechi will be confirmed.
You believe
yeah, you don't know what will be going on in Abuja from yesterday. This is Nigeria, my brother.
Mr. Karaja, do you have a fear? Do you have any fear that Amaechi might not
I don't have a fear about the confirmation of Amaechi. Like I have said, it's like the biblical Jesus Christ, our Lord Jesus Christ. You know, each time, you know, our Lord Jesus Christ would have been crucified earlier before the time of the crucifixion. But each time they say the multitude were with him. The people feared the multitude. Those were the phrases. So you understand what I'm saying?
So you think Amaechi has got the people behind it?
So Amaechi has support of Nigerians. And it's going to be difficult for the Senate to say we're not going to clear him.
Okay.
I think the Senate will leave him to the law enforcement agent to determine,
to do their job,
you know, to do their job.
And even the judiciary also.
Even the judiciary to also do their. They can't do the job of the judiciary for them. So I don't have my fear about that.
Okay. We don't know which minister is going for which is going to have which portfolio, but the questions asked these people, you tend to guess what portfolio will be issued to each of these people, like in the case of Amaechi yesterday, and that's going to set an agenda for these people now. In the case of Amaechi yesterday, the questions were tending towards Niger Delta, if you were to be the minister of Niger Delta. Okay, let's try and look at the challenges ahead of a minister for Niger Delta now, just anybody now. What could the person be thinking of immediately when he gets there?
Well, I think Amaechi will do well if he becomes Minister of Niger Delta, because he's been a governor in that area. He knows the pains and pangs of his people. But I don't think any Nigerian, not necessarily from the Niger Delta, should forget Ken Saro-Wiwa. I don't think any right-thinking Nigerian should forget that man. They need to go to his area. He's our own, sorry to say, those my fellow Christians out there, he's our own Jesus. He was our own Jesus Christ in that area. He died for his own people. He died for all of us. So, and then all this pollution in the area needs to be cleared. Somebody needs to sit down with these oil companies and come up with rules. Because that's another thing that I'm seeing in Nigeria. Everybody keep clapping for my brother, President Buhari. It makes sense to say, hi, El-Rufai, I, President Buhari, would not fund anybody to go to Jerusalem, would not fund anybody to go to Mecca, Saudi Arabia. But for goodness sake, if Buhari lives there tomorrow without a law backing it, it goes down to, we are back to square one. So they are not really helping Nigeria. So there must be laws in place. They must be building institutions. Another thing that I like about this mixture of experienced politicians with technocrats, I expect people like Governor Fashola, Fayemi, Kashuku, very fine gentlemen, to really work with the new ones who are just coming into the government and help them out. By so doing, we'll be building leadership.
So what do you think? Because he made mention of the fact that the way these people are placed, the condition of the Niger Delta and the alienation of the people of Niger Delta could or should be the reason for agitation. Do you think the Niger Delta, he said he traveled to, was it Germany, or when he got back, he discovered the people there really needs help. With the money coming out from Niger Delta, that place should be like Singapore. What do you think?
Yes, I agree that the people from Niger Delta must be determined to really take their people away from the woods. They must be determined to really help the people in the Niger Delta. I tell you, there are three major resources that are coming to the Niger Delta. Their own natural resource, their own internally generated revenue, the federal allocation, which is also composite of the derivation, which is also dovetailed into the resources that is given specifically to Niger Delta. 3 major resources.
But 3 major resources.
3 major
so they have
resources.
enough coming in.
They have
but we
enough
have
coming in.
even more than 3 ministries. How can I put? There's a Ministry of Niger Delta. There's a Minister for Niger Delta. There's a NDDC.
Yes.
But nothing is too.
So what
you
I'm
cannot
trying,
show
what I'm
anything
trying
for
to
it.
say is that people determine the kind of government they have. They determine the kind of development that their people give them. So the people of Niger Delta must go beyond, looking and blaming national government. National government has made enough provisions for the salvage and revitalization of the entire Niger Delta by way of provisions. What we now have is effective, efficient utilization of those resources. And so that's why I say that whoever is made the minister of Niger Delta, those who are governors in the Niger Delta, those who manage those resources must really come to the aid of their people. We must now continue to see a Niger Delta that is fully developed. The road network must really be masterpiece. They have enough resources. They must also realize that, they earn the largest resources in the entire nation today. They've been so deprived over the years of what they call their own natural resources. But today they have ample opportunity to correct those imbalances. And it is now in the hands of the people beyond the entire Nigeria. Nigeria has decided to give them what they have. They now should give them the kind of leadership. And then leadership must also provide good leadership. And the followership also must also comprehend and complement leadership. And by way of living exemplary life, by way of moving away from militancy, by way of not waiting for the crumbs. There are a lot of programs that were done even in the last administration to develop the Niger Delta people, to develop militants. They were taken abroad. Many of them were trained as pilot. They were given a lot of training. They must now come back and put back all of those knowledge
into the
society. They must now be looking. We must now not be looking for people to come and develop that enclave for them. So for me, development, the life of the people in their own hands.
Wonderful, wonderful. And there's this ministry also, the power. How do we get light in this country? The ministry, is it the Ministry of Power? Or how do they call it? Energy. How do we? Because that's a very, very a germane industry. I said industry. Yeah. Is like because when we talk about the privatization, it became an industry. So what should the minister be looking at? Because that is where everybody wants to feel the impact of this
government.
Administration.
Yes. Before I respond to that, let me just give my brother here some kudos on what he just said. That is one thing I found surprising in this country. You keep blaming the national government when under democracy, the person representing me in Ogun State was born and bred in Ogun State, Governor Bikola Amosun, doing very well in that state. Why should I go and blame Buhari? Why should the Yoruba leaders, for example, blame the Fulanis when you have your own governors, your own House of Assemblies, who can make law to say whoever that is going to do A, B, C, D with cattle, this is what you need to do. Why are you blaming? What is there for secession? They kidnap Falali. Yes, it is wrong. Every day they kidnap and kill people in Ipokia local government over there. This Yoruba leader did not see that. You keep blaming Buhari. Go to the east. They're still remembering Awolowo. When since 1999, we've been practicing this democracy. Your leaders are your governors, you have councillors, you have chairmen. So my people from Niger Delta should hold these people responsible for all these things. Now come to power. I believe the way we are going about it is so wrong. I'm sorry to say. I am not going to act like my papa, General Olusegun Obasanjo, and say I'll be the president of Nepal, just like he did when he was in power. None of my business. I am going to leave power to the state. I will give a grant to them. I will have my auditors go and study, go and invest, go and audit the grant that I give to them. At least out of that 36 states, maybe one governor, and I'm sure Ogun State will be the governor, will do well by saying it's my responsibility. That way, we will not keep looking at Abuja for power. I mean, this thing needs to be decentralized. You're talking about privatization of this thing.
Privatization, yes.
Look at what has been happening now. People are complaining badly about
Yes.
electricity.
Yes.
Okay, people are saying the cost of electricity is much higher than cost of their rent. People are saying you go over there to ask for meter, because of corruption, they will ask you to pay 40,000 naira, some 100 and something thousand naira. You will pay, they say there is no meter. They keep sending you estimated bill.
Yes.
Whoever the minister of power will be needs to take care of that. First of all, consumers should not be required to buy meters. It is your property, not my property, for goodness sake. Because it is your property, it is incumbent upon you to give meters to consumers. You may charge for it by saying pay 1 naira, 2 naira every month.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, you charge for it. But to ask me to pay 40,000 naira for a meter I will not immediately get, I think is extremely, extremely unfair.
Unfair.
Now, one second.
Okay,
After you
okay.
pay for the meter now, you pay for the meter. Another, maybe it's Ikeja, electric today. Another one comes tomorrow, they will say, Aruwa Joye Electric. They will say, go and prove that you pay. Here's my evidence. They will say they don't have the account. I know Nigerians that this had happened to. So these are the things that whoever the minister of power would do should look into.
And they should even give us the light, because immediately Buhari got into power, we had, then people were scared that what was happening because the light was so constant, but it just depreciated. It just went down like that. What is happening? They should even. They talked about vandalization of our of the gas pipelines and others. But what is happening now? What should the minister look into immediately?
But say one, if there is any kudos that we need to give to Jonathan, was to the fact that he was able to unbundle, to a greater extent, the power industry. Haven't done that. The new minister of power should take off from there. What we now have to do is to do the proper implementation of the unbundling of the PHCN. And what do I mean by proper implementation of the unbundling of the PHCN? Yes, you have had distribution, you have had generation, you have all of these in place, transmission, three major components. And then they've been unbundled to the three segments. And then they have also done something to say people should come and buy. The question people are now saying is that those who bought, why did they buy when they didn't have the resources to really make what they bought to work?
Because they were looking for money immediately they bought.
Immediately they bought, they were looking for money. It means that it's a rip-off.
Yes.
It's a complete rip-off for us as Nigerians. Don't forget, when NITEL was privatized and unbundled, and then you had the then two major, Econet and MTN that bought, they immediately deployed the resources, and within a tickle of an eye, and then we see the thing working. So the first major thing is to say, was the unbundling, was it properly done? The selling of these places, were they proper? Those who bought, do they have the resources? If they don't have the resources, what do we need to do? Do we need to give them, co-buyers, people who have resources? Because we're talking about resources, and the national resources cannot continue to go into, the power, industry, more so that it generates its own revenue. I haven't said that about proper implementation. One of the other components of proper implementation is to ensure that we also have alternative source of energy.
Like solar. Renewable
Solar,
energy.
I know it's expensive. We need to go back to coal.
Yes.
You see, no country abandons entirely its supportive edge.
Is solar that expensive?
Yeah, solar is a bit expensive.
But we could do subsidy on solar also.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is that when we discovered when we started electricity in terms of using water, we shouldn't have abandoned coal completely. Coal should have been, a subsidy in terms of pari passu. Why coal may be generating then maybe 20%.
Will complement.
So abandoning coal entirely was not good enough. We need to. So a new power minister must look at re-strategizing in terms of diversification of the sources of energy. Let me also explain to you what we experienced during the early days of Buhari. People are saying that we experience higher power, supply because of the fact that they had enough water. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that during rainy season, naturally you have enough water supply to boost energy.
Yes.
Secondly, people are saying that is the beginning of Buhari. The mention of Buhari is the beginning of wisdom. People are beginning to afraid. Even those who bought those things were beginning to fear that what would this man do? Would this man revisit us? Will he take this thing away
That
from us?
was the rumor we had about
so that
we
also
having constant
was a secondary
electricity.
proponent of why we had, a larger supply of,
Electricity,
performance in
yes.
that sector. But having said all of those ones, what we need to do also is Buhari must ensure, the president must ensure that whoever he is going to be giving that ministry
Yes.
must be somebody who has been well tested,
Tested.
somebody who is credible, somebody who is a workaholic, somebody who is intelligent, somebody who will give no shit.
Okay. When we come back, we'll look at other ministries. That's after this short break. Do stay with us, please.